Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to do a full face of drugstore makeup for oily skin. This is a get ready with me. This is a foolproof makeup for oily skin type edition where I show you my products, my favorite products from the drugstore that I use to create this type of face that will last for 8 to 10 hours on an oily skin type while still maintaining an affordable price. Today we're going to use the Base Matte PowerGrip by e.l.f. and this is their newest primer. It works great. I've tested it out. You only need a little bit. It goes a long way. You don't have to overdo it. Just remember that skincare comes prior to this. If you guys are interested in a video of what I do for my skincare prior to prepping for my makeup, just let me know in the comments and I can do a separate video for you guys on that. I always use the back of my hand as my palette. It just makes it easier for me to work with my makeup. And then I'm gonna warm it up on my skin and then put it in my most problematic areas. Now, contrary to belief, you don't need to put your primer all over your face unless you want to. I specifically work this in on my T-zone area just to ensure that my oils don't come through, because that is where I primarily get the most oily. Let's go ahead and jump into foundation. So for today's foundation, we are using the Maybelline Fit Me Matte Poreless. I am in the shade 220 Natural Beige. This is great for normal to oily. It's long wearing. It does provide that seamless look in the pore area, so it helps with just making sure that your skin looks flawless. And I'm using a beauty sponge. This is specifically from Dollar Tree from their Sassy and Chic collection. Another alternative for this beauty blender, because I know that the real beauty blender is pretty expensive, would be the Real Techniques. That one's about $8 to $10 depending on where you purchase it from, but this was only $1.25 and it works really well for me. Once again, I have this on the back of my hand and I'm gonna go ahead and rub it on my skin and then just place it. I dot it. About this foundation is that it is medium coverage and it is buildable. It's very lightweight on my skin and it does provide the coverage that I desire without feeling like I'm caking on a bunch of foundation. The next product that I love using from the drugstore is the e.l.f. Camo Hydrating Concealer. Very long lasting, and I would say that they have medium coverage. I'm using light sand, and I'm going to go ahead and place 3-4 dots on my face on each side just to give me that extra brightness that I prefer. Using the same sponge, I'm going to blend that out. Typically leave the eye area last because it is hydrating. It doesn't dry as quickly and it gives you enough time to work with it. Good. So as you can see, that concealed my under eye bags and it just made my face look more three-dimensional instead of it looking so flat. Now, when you want a slightly more highlighted look without having to emphasize your skin, I love using the Pro Concealer HD High Definition, and this is in the highlighter shade. You see it's very white and luminous. So I'm gonna go ahead and take whatever I put on my skin and then I'm gonna carefully place it in the areas that I want to basically provide that 3D dimension within the highlight itself. Place it here. Go above the corner of my eye. I go down the center of my nose. I place a little bit on the top, which is where I would think that most of my light would be hitting if someone's talking to me. And then I just do Now my next two holy grails for drugstore contouring and bronzing are the LA Colors Pro HD Concealer, and I use the shade Toast. And then I also use ColourPop's Pretty Fresh Hyaluronic Concealer, and this is in the shade Dark 190. So I typically use my contour on the bridge of my nose and then around my cheek and jawline, and then the bronzer is just near the temple and just a little bit on the cheeks just to give me that warmth, just depending if my foundation looks a little too light that day or not. I just add a dot on each side of my face because this is pretty pigmented, and then I add just a little to the temples of my face, and then we'll blend it out slowly. You can see that it is pigmented, so I just kind of try to leave it in that same spot, and then I work my way up into my temple. So she's bronze, she's glowy. In with our HD concealer from LA Girl. Cream contour, I like to take it up my eyebrows. And then just do a little nose contour right here. And then with whatever's left on this, I go where my cheekbone is. So this is all gonna bring that extra dimension into my face. Now, when I want a more defined look on my temples, take the rest of that product and then slowly place it here. Blend it out. Go ahead and use the LA Colors pressed powder in the shade Ivory. I think this is a great pressed powder. It works really great under my skin. It's super pigmented. It mattifies my highlight, but it also makes my skin look very flawless, not cakey. It doesn't dry on my face. It doesn't dry on my eyes. And it just overall is a great powder, and it lasts on my face all day. I can be out and about for like 16 hours and this stays put. And then this is the shade I'm going to be using. And then I just take a tapered brush and I tap off the excess, and then we're going to go ahead and press underneath the eye. And then what this does is that it just sets my concealer underneath the skin. I will still be going in with a sponge after this just to give it that extra oomph, but this works great just to have that concealer marinate into my skin and then just melt into my foundation. And I also do it right here in the center, just anywhere where I added the concealer highlight. Now, if you think you're going to be out and about all day and you might not have any chance of basically touching up your makeup, the extra step that I would go is just take your beauty blender and then just dab it into this pressed powder, and then just press into any areas that you think need the extra coverage and that your skin typically gets the most oily in, because it will just lock in that moisture without you looking like you're going to be an oil slick later on in the day. This is what I do. Typically, I only do this to the very centers of my face because that is where I get the most oily. But do you see that? Now, I look a little crazy. Everything is going to blend in together once I do my finishing powder. But this is the first step into just locking in that moisture and making sure your oils stay put. Pressed powder that I'm going to use is this e.l.f. Halo powder. This is supposed to be a pro filter powder, and it just gives your face an overall flawless look. It worked great on my skin, and I think everyone should try this out. This is actually in the shade Light Warm, which goes perfect for an all over pressed powder. Put this all over my face. What this does is it just basically sets the rest of my foundation and my contour and bronzing, and it just provides enough coverage so that it blends into my highlight and I don't look like I'm not blending my products in together. It also creates that filter-like look, so your skin looks super gorgeous. Now, as far as bronzer goes, I typically use the LA Colors bronzers or I use an e.l.f. bronzer, but today I'm going to actually be using the Belpier Cosmetics Contour and Highlight Pro Palette. Now, this is not in the drugstore anymore, so I'm sorry, I just have to show you how good of a product this is. But typically what I do is just, I'll go ahead and go in with my bronzer shade and then just kind of rebronze the areas where I put the bronzer cream on, and then I'll go in with the cool shade and then just sculpt out the rest of my skin. And then we're going to go ahead and do the Juvia's palette just to provide that extra warmth and bring back light into my skin after I put all this powder on. And redefine my nose again. So this is what my skin is looking like. As you can see, everything is blending really smoothly, and I still have luminosity coming through, but I am very matte. So all of this product is ensuring that everything's locked in, the moisture is not going to let out, and the oil is going to be contained for at least 8 hours. So I'm just going to do my mascara. I was going to do that off camera, but I wanted to let you guys know what mascara I'm using. This is the e.l.f. Big Mood Waterproof Mascara, which I think it's a great mascara. It thickens, it volumizes, and it is waterproof. And then on my eyes, I just added a couple of the shadows from this e.l.f. 10 Shadow Palette. This is in the Perfect 10 Eyeshadow Palette collection. It's just very versatile. Everyday palette, just gives you that nice look. It finishes off your makeup. I do enjoy their e.l.f. No Budge retractable eyeliner, which is what I have on my waterline. Now, as far as lipstick drugstore combos, I would highly recommend any lipstick liner that is from the Italia Deluxe line. Now, I'm going to use the shade Dusty Rose, which is just a very mauve color. It's a little darker than my actual lip, alongside this Morphe lipstick. And this is actually in the shade Jealousy. I have the mini version. Morphe products are a great drugstore recommendation from me. So is NYX. e.l.f. also has a couple of good lip tints, but if you want a good lip combo, anything that Italia lip liners create in any shade range, I think this is just the most cost effective, and it's long wearing, and same thing goes with these lippies to me. Alternative to any MAC lip liner, in my opinion, without having to spend an enormous amount on a. These are super comfortable on the lip and they last all day. And then you get that nice neutral moody lip color combo. As far as lipstick goes, the NYX Butter Glosses also work for a long time.